will be responded to. Brazilian President Lula hits back at Donald Trump's 50 tariff. Brazil and the United States escalated their row on Thursday after Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva hit out at Donald Trump, saying that his nation would act with reciprocity, in reference to Trump's 50% tariff announcement on Brazil. Any measure to increase tariffs unilaterally will be responded to in light of Brazil's law of economic reciprocity, the Brazilian president said. Lula also attacked Trump over his support for coup-accused ex-leader Jair Bolsonaro, and criticized his prosecution. Bolsonaro is on trial for allegedly plotting to cling to power after losing the 2022 elections to Lula. In a lengthy X post, the Brazilian president wrote, in view of the public statement by the American President Donald Trump presented on a social network this Wednesday afternoon 9, it is important to emphasize Brazil is a sovereign country with independent institutions that will not accept being tutored by anyone. The judicial process against those who planned the coup d'état is the sole responsibility of the Brazilian judiciary and, therefore, is not subject to any kind of interference or threat that undermines the independence of national institutions, Lula wrote. The Brazilian president also rejected Trump's claim that Brazil's efforts to regulate the operations of U.S. social media platforms on its territory in accordance with its own laws are not, as Trump had claimed, a form of censorship. In the context of digital platforms, Brazilian society rejects content involving hate, racism, child pornography, scams, fraud, and speech against human rights and democratic freedom, Lula wrote. In Brazil, freedom of expression is not to be confused with aggression or violent practices. To operate in our country, all national and foreign companies are subject to Brazilian legislation, he added. It is false information, in the case of the commercial relationship between Brazil and the United States, regarding the alleged American deficit. Statistics from the United States government itself confirm a surplus of that country in the trade of goods and services with Brazil in the amount of $410 billion over the last 15 years. In this sense, any measure to increase tariffs unilaterally will be responded to in light of Brazil's law of economic reciprocity. The respect and intransigent defense of the interests of the Brazilian people are the values that guide our relationship with the world, the Brazilian president wrote. Tendo em vista a manifestação pública do presidente norte-americano Donald Trump apresentada uma rede social, na tarde desta quarta 9, e importante ressaltar Brasil e país soberano com instituições independentes que não aceita ser tutelado por ninguém. O processo Lula official July 9, 2025. The Brazil US row on Monday, Trump angered Lula by urging Brazilian authorities to leave Bolsonaro alone, in a post on social media. They have done nothing but come after him, day after day, night after night, month after month, year after year. The US president wrote. Trump then announced he would slap a 50% tariff on Brazilian imports starting August 1, citing Brazil's insidious attacks on free elections and warning of escalation if the country retaliates. In a letter addressed to Lula, Trump criticized the treatment of Bolsonaro as an international disgrace and said the trial should not be taking place. He added Washington would launch an investigation into Brazil's trade practices. While Trump has been issuing letters to trading partners, focusing on those his country runs a deficit with, Brazil had until now not been among those threatened with higher duties come August 1. The South American powerhouse is the second largest exporter of steel to the United States after Canada, shipping 4 million tons of the metal in 2024. Trump's support to Bolsonaro. Bolsonaro denies he was involved in an attempt to wrest power back from Lula as part of an alleged coup plot that prosecutors say failed only for a lack of military backing. After the plot fizzled, rioting supporters known as Bolsonaristas raided government buildings in 2023 as they urged the military to oust Lula. Bolsonaro was abroad at the time. The case against Bolsonaro carries echoes of Trump's prosecution over the January 6, 2021, attacks by his supporters on the U.S. Capitol to try and reverse his election loss. Trump pleaded not guilty, and the case was abandoned when he was re-elected president. The cases have drawn the Trump and Bolsonaro families together, with the Brazilian ex-leader's sons lobbying for U.S. sanctions against one of the Supreme Court judges sitting on the ex-president's trial. In his post on Monday, Trump suggested Bolsonaro was the favorite in presidential elections, despite him being banned from running for spreading disinformation about Brazil's voting system. Bolsonaro thanked Trump for his defense of peace, justice, and liberty in a social media post. Also read India, Brazil set 20 billion trade target, forge key deals on terror, pharma, critical minerals. Swipe left for next video. Latest blogs.